Chilling with the Mandem, chilling with the Mandem.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Mic chickity check.
We can also talk about that top 100 list.
Say something.
I participated in that list.
In the top 100 list.
Yeah, the one that you guys created for your group name.
Oh, did you put? I didn't see what.
What are you talking about,
on.
dog? I was winning so many, bro.
I didn't see what was going on, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, we're rolling. We started before we started, but we're here.
Yeah, so those of you who don't know, there's a top 100 list that...
It's actually dropping on Monday.
It hasn't dropped yet?
No.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah. So you want to explain to the viewers what that is? They already know. You guys already explained.
Sanji and I spoke about it on the first episode of the year.
Oh, all right.
Casper's manager dropped the list last year.
Oh, his own list?
His own list.
Oh, shit. Where can we listen to that list? On Spotify?
No. So it's not a play. It's just a list of
what he
top
thinks
50 SA rappers.
Oh, SA. Rappers or songs?
Rappers.
Is that many rappers?
There's actually a lot.
I didn't know there were that many rappers. I know like 5 rappers.
There's a lot.
In South Africa.
So we did our own list as Hashwan.
Okay.
Right. So we're going to drop that.
And you're going to do a comparison to see who made it.
To see, like, because we were just like, some of these guys on this list, it's questionable. But we're like, it's easy to call someone out on a list before you've made a list.
Yeah.
So we're like, let's put
your own list together and then
see how we fare, see what the people think, and then
so many lists. It's like voting. Are you gonna vote? Are you gonna register to vote?
I've registered.
I've also registered.
I don't know.
But do you know who you're gonna vote for?
Not yet.
We were making jokes on our podcast about just closing your eyes and just putting an X. Like you go there listening to DMX, you call your X. Anything to do with X. X gonna give it to you. You know?
X gonna give it to you. Yeah, in case you guys don't know, this guy's a comedian, so I'm going to be cracking up for a lot of this episode.
Stand-up comedian, not just any comedian. So there's a difference between... And the reason why I wanted to say there's a difference, because... So you get social media comedians and acting comedians. So you get actor comedians,
sure,
people who play comical roles, people who do stage roles and do comedy,
sure,
and there's people who do online content and just that, and then there's stand-up, which is basically getting on stage and moving the crowd like an MC, you know?
It's the same kind of thing.
Same thing. So, I mean, as a comic, I look up to MCs and rappers because, I mean, that's essentially what we grab a mic and, you know, we rip the crowd, you know? So that's essentially why I love hip-hop as much as I love comedy, and it's kind of the same love for me. Obviously, I'm not going to go try rap, although...
You have tried, my
friend. I have.
I've got the evidence.
We've got songs together. But,
we've got a whole EP together, actually.
Yeah, we just haven't released it. It's coming out never.
You need to learn how to flow. You're unteachable.
No,
actually.
So this guy, you know, I freestyle half the time, dude. I'm like Biggie.
Yeah, bro.
I'm like Biggie.
Just because you freestyle doesn't mean you're dope.
I'm like Biggie and then I lost weight. So, yeah.
So, okay, talking about comedy, stand-up, like stand-up versus hip-hop, right? Let's keep it to SA for now.
Yeah, let's talk local like, comedy, local hip-hop.
Where's your mind at when it comes to like those two worlds? Are they similar?
I think in terms of the state of entertainment in general, I think COVID hit both entertainment industries, but I think hip-hop took a bigger hit than comedy did in terms of classical hip-hop. So you don't have... So like every genre of music, I feel like people forget this. Like pop isn't really a genre.
Yeah.
Pop just stands for popular.
It's popular music.
You know what I'm saying? So like in the 70s and 80s, reggae music was quite popular, and that was considered, like Bob Marley was considered pop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, for example, Mos Def calling Drake pop. It's popular, but it's still hip hop.
Yeah, but the way he broke it down made a lot of sense. I think a lot of people just kind of stuck to that soundbite that was floating around. But if you listen to, you know, the rest of the piece, he was explaining like it's more of like the subject matter that, you know, hip hop is supposed to represent. It's not being represented by Drake currently, and it's not saying Drake can't rap or he's not an MC or his pen game is some type of way, but the agenda behind his music is more so what
but dude, I mean, look, I mean, it's the same with comedy. Look at someone like Trevor Noah, right? Or even Kevin Hart.
Sure.
And the way Cat Williams, Sheldon Kevin. When you do everything under the sun, what else do you have left, bruh? I mean, Eminem did the same thing. He went 3-4 albums.
Sure.
Then he started going very poppy. You know,
Sure.
I mean, I personally, I didn't like from Eminem show onwards. I didn't like a lot of his music.
Yeah, I don't like a lot of Eminem right now.
Yeah, so it became very poppy. You know, so I mean, look, Coldplay, for example, a band I used to love as a kid.
wait.
You know, they had like a very
Yeah,
soft
at some
rock.
point
Then they just started doing this. I don't want to use the bubblegum anymore but they started becoming more catering for the masses. And the thing is, it's the same with comedy. So Kevin Hart, for example, you look at his first few specials and they're bangers. Same
It's
with
funny.
Trevor Noah as well. I mean, you talk about like what Crazy Normal.
Yeah, those are classics.
Yeah, I mean, Daywalker. Those are classics, bro.
Classics.
And he gets a lot of criticism for the last few ones from a lot of people, but people don't realize this guy has adapted and he's changed. His market is not local market anymore.
Yeah.
His market is global. He's a global brand.
It's interesting you say that because I watched the last special.
I loved it.
I wasn't
did you like it?
particularly moved by it.
Oh, I loved it.
I got it, but I wasn't. I understood what it was. Right, he was catering to an international audience, so
Yeah.
not everything's gonna resonate as much with South Africans.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the guy's performing in Detroit. Are you expecting him to go to Detroit
You know
and
what I
talk
mean?
about South African things? Nah, dog. The people in Detroit like, what the fuck are you talking about? Sorry, we're not allowed to swear on this.
Nah, you can swear. Bro.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's not for kids.
Okay, cool. Just making sure that.
But yeah, like it's. I get it. A lot of people were angry about it, but I was like, there's nothing wrong with it. He's catering to his audience.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
Yeah, but anyway, so I was still talking about like the comedy industry in South
Sure.
Africa versus the hip hop industry in South Africa. So, personally, I think like comedy is starting to pick up again. There was a point just before COVID where it was starting to like really, really hit its peak. You know, we had like many comedy clubs all over.
okay.
You know, the Goliaths were there. There was Cape Town Comedy Club, and you know, even across South Africa, there were comedy clubs popping up, and you could literally make a living of just stand up.
Sure.
You know, so then when COVID hit, it became really, really tough. I mean, even your household names, your legends, you know, you guys like Kagi and David Cow and you know the Goliaths, they had to go on to online gigs, and
Sure.
it's not the same. You know, and it's like who's gonna pay? Are you gonna pay to watch an online like Zoom comic? No,
No.
you know,
It's not the same.
It's not the same. You need to have a
doesn't-
live audience. I mean, the whole point of comedians is like people love improv. They love when guys come up with jokes on the spot.
Yeah.
They love the personality of the comic engaging with
And your
people.
energy,
Also, the
your
roast.
energy comes from the crowd. You know what I mean? Like what you put out is what you get from the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I can't be roasting the screen like someone sitting on the screen. You know. Next thing they put their shit on mute. I'm roasting and they don't give a
hear
fuck.
nothing.
You know. So
You know what I mean? I guess it's the same. Like with us when we pre-COVID, like we were putting together Tanasu. We
Yeah,
had a
yeah.
whole plan of how we're gonna roll it out. It was gonna be a game changer for us. But when you had to switch over to being online, that wasn't something that we were privy to.
Yeah.
So it we took a knock. Like,
But I
those-
mean, for your side, right? I mean, do you prefer the live performance of what you do, or do you prefer the producing the art in terms of like your albums and your songs? Which one do you prefer?
I think I can't do one without the other. You know what I mean? I think the process of creating the music, while I'm doing it, I look forward to like, yo, what would this sound like on stage, right? So there's certain songs that I'm like, ooh, like this is a,
Yeah,
this
I
is a
get you. I get you. I mean,
stage
I heard that Jack Harlow song. You know that Jack? I don't want no, you tell me,
Yeah.
you put your loving on me, baby.
I'm probably singing it wrong.
No, man, I'm singing. That's how it goes. Whip your loving on me. Haven't you? I'm Vanilla,
think I
baby.
know.
You haven't seen that track?
Nah.
But there's tracks where it's like he's in the. If you listen to his raps, you can actually listen to him talking and making like requests to people in the crowd, like leave your
Yeah.
girlfriend's hand, shit like that. You know,
Sure,
leave your
sure.
boyfriend's hand, shit like that. So you could literally write a song to perform,
To perform, yeah.
you know, and you could write a song just
100%. It's just for like, yo, dude in the car just kind of cruising.
yeah. So with
Yeah.
us, with comedy, we can't write a joke for an album. We don't know if the joke works unless we perform
You
it
have to
live.
perform it, yeah.
So
And either way, before you do a special or anything like that, right? That's the purpose of a tour. You're testing out.
yeah, so when you go to like open spots, so like let me break down how comedy works for a lot of people who don't know how like who want, for example, if you want to become a stand-up comedian. So if you're a young stand-up or a young person, you want to try out comedy and you think you're funny, maybe you've cracked a few jokes at the Brian. Yeah, you do. You're funny. You should try it out. You know, do this. Write a few jokes that will last 5 minutes, because when you go to any comedy club or any comedy show, and there's someone running a comedy show,
Sure.
they will give you 5 minutes to prove yourself. 5 to 7, right? And in those 5 minutes, you obviously have to have a set of jokes. So you go out to, then there's many places in Johannesburg. If you're in Johannesburg, I mean, there's many places. There's Sips in Melville. Tuesday, there used to be Kitcheners, but now it's been moved across to that steakhouse, or I'm not sure what the name is, but I'll find out. We'll post it somewhere. And there's Wednesday Shakers that's run by Tabiso and Baxter. You know,
Tabiso.
And then there's a Thursday gig coming up. So there's gigs coming up again. You know, I think Linde Sibando also runs a gig in Foy's by Cedar Square. That's also on Tuesday nights. So all of these places are not paid gigs. These are places where they're called working rooms, where we work.
Exposure.
Not even exposure. It's just basically to know if your joke works or not. So it's new material.
Oh, okay.
Like new material night.
Yeah.
So I mean, also you don't always have to do new material. I sometimes do jokes from like when I first started, because that's just to get the rust off.
Yeah.
Because you need stage time to know, to get back into the rhythm of comedy. And so if you're a young person, you can be an old person. There's no age restriction on comedy. If you want to try comedy, write those 5 minutes, go to those places, speak to the guy. You might not be able to jump on that night, but you can say, look, I want to give it a shot. Can you please put me down for the next week? Then you come. You can bring people if you want. In comedy, that's kind of called cheating, because it's called renting a crowd.
Okay.
Makes
sense.
But also some promoters like that because the establishment makes money.
Yeah.
So it's a gray area for competitions, and when you're trying to make a name for yourself as a comic, you generally don't want to be bringing
People
crowds, bringing your friends, because it's an unfair advantage. Your friends and family already think you're funny. The trick is to be funny in front of strangers.
Sure.
So it's called renting a crowd. You can rent a crowd if you want to get the promoter on your side. And he's like, yeah, you're bringing people, bringing money. We'll keep putting you on,
Word.
So that's basically the crux of how you want to get your step into comedy, So
I feel you. In comedy, like with MCs, there's different styles. There's MCs, there's rappers, there's conscious rap, there's underground, there's pop, trick.
yeah.
Is it like how do you
grows our music?
How do you categorize comedians?
So
like,
with stand-up, I can tell you with stand-up, I mean, if you want to go into comedy, people do theses on comedy. I mean, I remember I was performing at Kitcheners once, and this person from Europe, I think it was from Denmark, came to watch us and he was interviewing us, and he says he's doing his thesis, his PhD thesis on stand-up comedy, on the styles of comedy and things like that. So with comedy, I mean, you have puns, you have deadpan, you have sarcasm, you have... there's slapstick, which is like your classical pie in the face that Americans do. So there's like what Trevor Noah does with stories. South Africans are actually the best, I think, at storytelling. I think everyone says the best comedians are storytellers.
Sure.
So there's storytelling as well. There's also one-liners. So like Dylan Oliphant, the great Dylan Oliphant, he does one-liners. So so
he's knocked that out the park.
Yeah. So if you think about it on a global scale, Jimmy Carr does.
Yes.
One-liners. Yes. So there's dark comedy as well. I started doing dark comedy, which is nice because I can still go on stage and do dark.
There's a fine line, like with dark comedy, it's tough, man.
So it's obviously it's much more difficult to break through as a dark comic, simply because one, the world's getting more sensitive.
Sure.
And two, you're not gonna get booked for a corporate.
With that shit, no.
Yeah, you're not. If a CEO sees that, he's like, no ways, I'm gonna let people talk about dead babies at a fucking end of year function. So if you're the thing is, I have the privilege of going that path because I have a day job. I'm an engineer as well.
Sure.
And so I can
look
still
at you.
I make money. So I don't need the money. What I want is the art, is to produce the art. I'm not I'm not doing it for the cash. I'm not.
So when you started, you were talking about online comedians, stand-up comedians. You haven't transitioned to like the online space.
No. So we do have a podcast, by the way. So that's, if you want to consider that online, but it's very similar to this, and it's not always. It's more. So the way our podcast started is we used to have writing sessions. Gavin Kelly is the other comedian. We used to have writing sessions every week, and when COVID hit, we started doing it on Zoom.
Okay.
And then we're like, let's record, because there's a record feature on Zoom. We're like, let's record our brainstorming sessions of how we write jokes,
Sure.
and then put it out there and see how it it goes.
Is that how Sunday Best started?
That's how Sunday Best started, bro. So basically, Sunday Best is basically a joke writing session.
That's dope.
So that's how two comics like come up with jokes. So it's a top. So how we do it is we have topics or news articles, and then there's a concept called riffing. It's also in jazz.
Sure.
Where if something comes to your head, you keep going. So you bounce, I bounce, and we just keep going.
You know
when you're guarraing, when you're lighties, we just guarraing.
Sure.
Remember how we used to do as kids? When one guy guarras and the next guy. So it goes and just keeps going. So it's like riff. That's what riffing is.
Okay.
So that's what we do with the articles as well. So if we go on a tangent, we just fucking go, bro.
That's dope, man.
So it's a lot of fun. So there's no script in it. It's all improv, and that's what we like. So that's another thing. Improv is another style of comedy. Yeah. Improv means not writing. A lot of people think that all comedians do improv, and that's incorrect. Every time you see a stand-up comedian on stage performing, he has written that down or he has said it to his, it's been repeated before. It's not like if you do see improv, it's probably because someone like Umpo Pops who's just like naturally funny.
There's a guy I follow on Facebook. I forgot his name. I'll put his picture up for you guys to see. But his shows, he's an American guy, black guy, and his shows is basically like just going at the crowd.
Yeah.
Like he just...
Yeah, I mean, I think Andrew Schultz, you know Andrew Schultz?
Yes.
Yeah, so the way he started off is he started trending because, I mean, he used to host gigs and just his crowd interaction. So TikTok is one thing a lot of comics don't know and a lot of people don't know is that the reason why stand-up comedians get famous on TikTok, I actually read an article about this because I don't have TikTok. People like to see heckling. You know what heckling is?
Yes.
So for people who don't know what heckling is when an audience member yells at the comedian or is interrupting the comedian, tries to insult the comedian, and then there's a rebuttal. So Jimmy Carr does that. Some comedians have it planned on their specials. You don't really know if it's legit, if it's genuine. But in the UK, for example, that you see some of the best comics like that. You know, if you can think on your feet to guarra someone when they try guarra you, you know.
And you hit them back.
So TikTok, in terms of comedians becoming trends, the heckling side is what people would really wanted to see.
Yeah.
They wanted to see.
So a lot of comedians started putting that side of their specials.
But you see, the thing is now when you commercialize something like that in terms of a trend, you start forcing the comedy. So now you don't know if you've got people renting a crowd, and you're like, yo,
now,
like imagine.
I find the trick is right because with situations like that, so I'll see a comedian's, heckling work, like when it's back and forth with the crowd, is funny.
Yeah.
But they obviously don't put their written jokes out onto the internet.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to do that.
If I've seen your stand-up on TikTok, why am I going to go see your show, right? So the trick is are you now funny when you're doing your actual jokes? Do they slap as hard? Because I would expect that your actual written material should slap harder than
the improv.
Than the improv stuff.
100%.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, like for example, a guarraing someone is always funny, right? Like I mean, dissing someone,
it's
because especially if someone wants to be a wise ass and interrupt the comics. So I wanted to teach people who don't know comedy and comedy culture. Comedy is like a live performance. It's like going to watch a theater, a play. You know, when someone's acting on stage, you're not yelling something at the actor. It's exactly the same with stand-up comedy. A stand-up comedian is doing a performance. And a lot of people don't realize this because they get drunk in South Africa and they're like, they think it's a chat, like I can just chat to this guy on stage.
Sure.
It's not like that. You should actually let the guy perform. And I mean, obviously, if it's a guy who's engaging with you, then be a sport.
Sure.
And engage.
But know the limit.
Know the limit. It's like, I guess when you guys are performing in what you call it, as rappers, and you're getting the crowd to do something, or you're like having a really serious performance. Let's say it's like a soft, slow song or whatever, and some idiot is yelling some shit,
wild shit.
You know, I saw this clip of Beyonce trying to sing, and there's this dude screaming, and I can see Beyonce actually just looks at him like, "Yo, bro, can you shut the fuck up?"
Chill out, bro.
Like, you know.
Now, I feel you. I mean, with what's interesting with being on stage, right? In terms of responding to the crowd, a lot of the time when I was coming up, first shows that I did, because people don't know you and you're performing songs they haven't heard, it's the first time they hear them. When you're looking out at the crowd, people are just kind of standing there and staring, right?
Yeah,
So
for a rapper, that's tough because.
But as an experienced artist that does that a lot, where a lot of the music I'll be performing will be new to the crowd. The trick is to tell. You can tell if somebody's genuinely looking and staring and like actually into the vibe and listening, as opposed to some people. They always want people to be bumping up and down, right?
Yeah.
But it's dope to see that when the music is dope and people don't know it, they actually stop what they're doing mid groove to be like,
To be like,
what
yo,
is
what's
that?
what's going on?
Right?
This is fire.
And a lot of artists that are not experienced on stage will see that as like, hey, this crowd was dead. But it's like those are the people that you convert, because tomorrow they will be like, yo, that nigga was dope.
Dope. Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look. So, I mean, with comedy, it's different because comedy is based on a reaction. And it's quite interesting because I was reading about like in comedy, sometimes we as comics, like you'll be killing, bruh, and like 90% of the room is killing themselves, dying. But there's like two people in the crowd that just aren't feeling your shit.
feeling it.
And the thing is, we tend to focus
On those
two when we don't realize like shit, you're getting so much
Everybody
love.
else.
Yeah, everybody loves. So why we? And then what's interesting is, those two will come after the show. Not that people were laughing will say, "No, man, your shit was fire, it was fun." But I'm like, "Yo, bro, you weren't even fucking laughing." So, and I noticed it in Cape Town. So in Cape Town, there's quite an international audience. So you'll meet people who are from like Germany and
Sure.
Netherlands and like Europeans, dude. They're not as happy-go-lucky as us. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the cold weather. Maybe it's the bland food. But they just don't engage in terms of laughter like the way South Africans do.
Sure.
So even though they'll come to you and say you were great afterwards, but they've had a dead look on their face the whole show.
Time.
You know, so
That's
it's crazy, dude.
That must be.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
a
like
tough situation
it's like you've
to
heard
deal
of
with. You
rappers
can't read
going. You've heard of rappers going to perform in Netherlands, and the crowds are dead.
I mean, I've had a different experience with that.
Is
Like
it?
when we went there, I was worried because of the language thing, right?
Mm.
But yo, they were vibing with us, bro. I mean, we went there initially for one show. The first night we did like a little warm up show at some small pub, and the crowd that was there whipped out their phones and started streaming the show live.
Yeah.
It just so happened some South African dude that was there working at another club saw it. It's
Yeah.
like, yo, I need these niggas at my club tomorrow night. So we got shows through that kind of vibe because people were just like, I think our energy was very hip hop,
Yeah.
and the spaces we were going to were like very hip hop.
Yeah.
So they resonated. They're like, you know, and we had songs where we were like kind of feeding off each other. So
Oh.
them not understanding what we're saying didn't fucking matter. It was
Yeah.
the vibe, the energy was
It
dope.
reminds me of when we're talking about that topic. You've watched Atlanta, huh?
Yeah.
When they're performing in Netherlands and then they do the blackface and the guy's like, "Come on, man, get on show." It's like, "Nah, dog, we ain't doing this." That episode
show's
killed
crazy.
me, bro. When they
That
were in
show's
Netherlands.
crazy.
Because I'm also thinking about, there's a line by Jean Grey.
Yeah.
She says something is dead like a show in the Netherlands. So she talks about crowds in the Netherlands.
Okay.
So it's quite a common thing amongst MCs about like Europe and how they're not feeling.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at the crowd, like you look at DMX's performance at Woodstock when all those white people were fucking going, "Stop, drop," you know, they were fucking going wild, you know. But then you look at something like where guys are performing in Europe and people are just staring,
Standing there.
So maybe it's a language thing.
Yeah, man. Maybe it's a language thing. We were probably just fortunate. And the time we were there, a lot of people that we were interacting with were not Dutch. So it's like guys from the UK, guys from Canada, guys from, you know what I mean?
So they understand.
And it was like Christmas time, or just close to Christmas time. So I think the crowd that was in the city at that time was different. They were looking for something different, something fun, you know, so they're willing to engage.
Because I mean, I've also heard like in Germany, it's kind of the same thing. The hip hop scene is massive. People love hip hop, but when you go perform there, it's like, you know.
Yeah, no, we must go back and find out what's going on.
Yeah, man, I actually wanted to go do comedy in the UK last year, but ish visa got kapat.
How the boss.
Because I wasn't working at the time, and they're like, "Yeah, you're going to come here and work."
And be a bum.
And no, they were like, "You're gonna get a job here," and which I probably was.
Sure.
You know, because I mean, as an engineer, they'll pick you up quick. So they were like, "No, you're a red flag."
No way.
Because such as that. And it killed me, bro, because last year's comedy, I mean, I went to Cape Town, I was picking it up, I was hosting gigs and things were picking up slowly. And then when my visa got rejected, I wasn't even going for comedy, I was going for a wedding.
Sure.
And I wanted to do comedy while I was there. So my plan is every time I go somewhere, I have to make sure that there's comedy in the trip.
Okay.
Because that's how much I love it. I want to get on stage somewhere and just tell some jokes. So when that blocked me, I was just like really torn about it, man. It was
boy.
Yeah, but I'll be back. I mean, it's a new year, new jokes.
Yeah, new energy, new everything. New me, new you.
Yeah, that vibe.
Yeah. So before we wrap up, man, top 5 comedians of all time, top 10. Okay, top 5.
I can tell you my favorite comedians in terms of what I like. I don't like saying these comics are the greatest comics of all time. I mean, I can tell you who I relate to. I'm not even going to make them in order. I'm just going to name comics that I just love so much. Like I could watch their specials over and over, even when just following their clips. So obviously Dave for me is the GOAT. I mean, Dave is what we grew up on. As like, are you talking about an SA or international?
All around.
Because in SA, man, like...
Cool, yeah, we're back. Sorry about that. When you are independent... You are independent.
Yeah, no, that's why we read the Independent. UK.
But yeah, we're back, we're rolling. Yeah, we'll talk about
comedy and hip hop, and we're talking about top 5. No, so we're talking about top 5. So I'm not going to mention like top 5 in South Africa. I'm just going to mention comics that I think are elite. So you get elite comics, right? And then you get like guys who are intermediate. Then you get guys who are newcomers, and some guys who've just been lingering around, like myself, So for me, elites in SA, I mean, obviously Trevor's transcended,
100%.
Gola as well. Gola's also transcended. He's been all over the world. He was one of the greats.
Yeah.
The whole Pure Minati gang, you can't
fault.
You can't fault them. Those guys are legends. They will always be legends. And then like modern day guys who are just like fucking up there as elites are Skumba. I mean, Skumba's was always selling shows. You've got guys like Masha Bela.
Sure.
You've got guys like Pops. I mean, Pops is...
Yeah, Pops is the one, actually.
Dude, Robbie Collins as well, bro. Robbie opened for Dave, bro. And I shit you not, dude. I think some of the decibels in terms of the laughter for Robbie's opening was probably higher than even Dave. I mean, Robbie is actually... I have so much love for Robbie because that guy put me on. He was actually the one... Remember you were there at Kitchener's night when I did my first ever set? And Robbie was the one who said, yo, bro, come on, I'll put you on. And since then, I have just... He's like a mentor. Everybody knows Robbie is one of the greats. Internationally, I mean, Dave, of course, you can't fault Dave.
Sure.
That's obvious one. Louis C.K., I know some people cancelled him, but fuck them.
He's brilliant, bro.
Fuck whoever wants to cancel Louis C.K. Just because he joked off in front of you. So just close your eyes.
Not even in front of you, on the phone.
I think Dave had a thing about it. So Ricky Gervais for me. So I also like British comedy. I mean, I grew up. I mean, we went to an international school where we did. Like we had a lot of British influences. A lot of our teachers were from the UK, and I just was into like Mr. Bean, for example. Rowan Atkinson is considered one of the greatest.
Yeah.
And so Ricky Gervais, because I used to watch the British Office actually before the US.
Before it popped up in the US.
Before the US Office popped, people only know the US. Some people don't even know that it's a British Office.
Jesus,
so that
really?
I used to watch it with Vince. Remember Vince? So I used to watch that, and so Jimmy Carr is one of my idols because he pushes the boundary in terms of like dark comedy. Him and a guy named Anthony Jeselnik. You know Anthony Jeselnik?
I know Jeselnik.
Yeah.
Jeselnik that he's quite monotonous in his delivery.
Yeah. That's what you call deadpan comedy. So him, and then there's so many. I love guys like someone like Marlon Wayans, for example, because I grew up watching the Wayans brothers.
Sure.
And just to see the whole Wayans film.
The way he transitioned back into like stand-up is crazy.
Yeah, so he's got an interesting story, dude. So when he started off, he wanted to get into comedy when he was young, and I think he was like Chris Rock was heckling him.
Sure.
And like up at him from things, so then it killed his confidence and he just went back into acting. So the story is like that. Who else? Patrice O'Neill, rest in peace. Like,
he's
a legend,
yo,
bro.
that guy cuts deep, man.
See, that's another guy who goes in deep, and people don't really know Patrice's.
He cuts deep, bro. He's like, he found that balance where you don't feel guilty to laugh at some of the dark shit he says, bro.
Yeah,
He's dope with it.
Yeah, I don't even know Hannibal Buress.
Yeah,
he's also I really dig his shit. A lot of
I don't
people
know if
for me, I look at him like an MF Doom of comedy. Very, very alternative, very different but considered.
I catch him when I catch him, but I don't think I can recall any specials. I think I've seen snippets of his stand up there and
No,
there.
that guy's
I enjoy
fire,
him in
so.
movies though, like
Oh, really?
100%. He's got that that humor to him, man. I don't know. It's not laugh out loud, but it's like he's hilarious.
Yeah, he's fucking he's funny, man. And
Bill Burr is
Bill.
fucking
How can I
top
forget
for
Bill
me.
Burr, bro? I mean, that's
He's
another
top
legend.
for me.
You know, Bill Burr was on the Chappelle show.
Yeah.
When back in the day, people
Yeah.
don't realize that. Another guy's.
And I don't know if you watched The Fixer with
Is it the one about the
Olivia
dads?
Pope.
About the dads?
No. It's not. Is it
on Netflix?
Not comedy, man. Olivia Pope, man. It's like this law series about the president and the fixer and whatnot. And there's this guy he's one of the leads. He's called Huck. He's like a crazy assassin kind of guy. He was on
I haven't
the
seen
Chappelle
that.
show, bro.
I haven't seen
He's
that.
one of those random guys in the Chappelle show.
It's like, I guess it's like J-Lo in Living Color. Remember?
Sure.
You know, people don't
But
know
he
that.
didn't transition into comedy, and like he's playing this dark.
Jim Carrey is
role.
also considered a great, you know. I mean, people don't realize, even though he wasn't you see, this Jim Carrey is an example of a guy who didn't do stand-up,
Sure.
but he was in comedy.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Improv is his thing.
He used to do
he's,
like
super
impersonations
improv,
and I mean he did do stand up, but he wasn't known for his stand up. He was known for
Yeah.
his acting and stuff. Another guy is Zach Galifianakis.
I haven't seen.
Short fat guy with The Hangover.
Oh yes,
beard.
Alan.
That guy, dude. Have
He's
you never
funny.
seen?
His show,
Have you seen Between Two Ferns?
Between Two Ferns, yeah.
There's even a
I dig
movie.
that shit.
That guy's a G.
The
bro.
movie was amazing, bro.
Yeah, that guy was a G.
The movie was amazing. Okay, top 5 rappers.
Hey man, that's also hard because
I don't think you have an essay list though.
of
Would you
essay.
have an essay list?
I probably because you could probably tell me name 5 rappers in essay. You know. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna put Double HP and all the.
Okay.
I'm just gonna mention Mutswako guys, all Mufftown guys, because I just
Sure.
love Mutswako.
Standard.
So it's not like, I mean, obviously the guys who are dead as well are also legends, you know.
Yeah, but your top 5 favorite.
Ever.
Yeah.
Like
Your favorites.
my favorite MCs ever. So I mean, I think Kweli is obviously. I mean, I grew up with Kweli. Kweli was what put me into conscious rap.
Okay.
I would say Pharaoh. I mean, Pharaoh Monch is. For me, one of the greatest lyricists around. You know, I have to put M simply because nobody's done it like M. And then Jigga and Nas. And the thing is, I'm not even fans of Jigga. Like, I'm not like a fan of Jigga, and like I stopped listening to Nas like in varsity, but because they have such a huge impact on them, and they've been doing it for fucking almost for decades. I have
and
to.
Nas
put
is
them in.
back in his bag again now. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, Nas will never be like Illmatic Nas, you know.
Yeah,
That's,
true.
so there's an example he's saying.
True.
You can't expect guys to be doing the
it's
same
hard to
shit. dude.
when you set your bar so high, bro. Like,
That's what I'm saying, dude.
yeah.
So even if Drake, I'm sure Drake. I mean, I'm not a fan of Drake, but Drake probably has bangers from back in the day
Sure.
that he used to rip on the mic, you know.
Yeah.
So people got to give due. I'd say modern. You know what? Modern. J. Cole and Kendrick are just elite guys now.
Yeah.
So I'd say those
100%.
guys are like the Jay-Z and Nas of
100%.
today's era, you know.
Yeah.
And then I also love fucking Nicki Minaj, bro. No, I'm not even joking, bro. People, here's the thing about Nicki, right?
I get it. You
Nicki-
you like weird shit. So
No,
I get
dude,
it.
that Nicki's not even weird, dude. People
But
don't
no,
realize.
she's an MC. I
Lyric,
give her
dude,
props.
if you actually listen, like Nicki burns half of the industry of dudes.
Yeah. She's got bars.
I mean, that track Monster, she burnt Jigga and Kanye,
she
bro.
hooked it up. She hooked
I mean, come on, dog. Oh, fuck, I forgot to mention Kanye. And the thing is, people like to box Kanye.
Old
as this-
Kanye. Or new Kanye. Or of Kanye.
all Kanye, bro. I love Kanye
Okay.
so much. Like, whatever Kanye does is gold to me. And you know that Top Runner we're talking about?
Sure.
Look how many songs either have Kanye, are touched by Kanye,
Or produced.
or
Or
produ-
yeah,
Kanye
it's a
has
lot.
touched everything
It's a lot.
in the hip hop industry. So, for me, he's
Yo, we must actually put that top 100 list out.
you guys must, bro.
We must put it out. Like,
Put it out.
yeah,
you must
we'll
actually
share-
go and
we'll-
break down each song, like maybe every episode you can do like the first 10 songs, and you can do like 10 episodes of breaking down.
Now
each
we'll put
10.
it out for people to listen to and put it out in the order that it is. Like we'll do the list. It's quite interesting the songs that didn't make that list. versus the ones. I mean, it was tough putting it together. Though. It was,
Yeah.
you
So
know,
I was saying, I think in that top 5, if I were to remove, I'd probably remove Jay-Z and put Kanye in there for personal because I love
Okay.
Kanye as a fan. But I think as the top 5,
That's your
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. But it's tough. I mean, it's tough to say because
Top 5 is always difficult.
It's subjective, man. It's like comedy. Comedy is also subjective, dude.
Yeah.
What you might find, I might not find funny. Some people
100%.
find someone slipping on a banana hilarious. I think that's fucking lame, bro. You know?
And I think, like, for me, with each year, it changes. I think all time, it stays the same. But, like, my top 5 favorites change each year.
Yeah, dude.
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
so you go through phases, bro.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
if you asked me in the 2000s, I'll probably put 50 on there because 50
Sure.
was so huge and big, you know? And if you asked me, like, in the 90s, I'd probably put Pac and Biggie in there and forget Kweli and Pharaoh, you know? So as time goes by and I hear, I mean, I would love to put MF Doom in there because right now I'm listening to so much MF Doom at the moment. Even though I did listen to him in varsity, I'm just back on that MF Doom swag and I just think, fuck, people don't realize how great this guy was, you know? So, but anyway, I could talk hip hop all day.
Nah, dope, man.
Yeah,
man, thanks for coming through, dog.
Oh, yeah, man. Thanks for having me, bro.
This is what it is.
And guys, don't forget, we've got a podcast, a comedy podcast. It's a comedy news podcast where myself and Gavin Kelly crack jokes every week on the current affairs. Check it out on YouTube. It's called Sunday Pod. And then you can hit my handle up on Isuru Jin, where I'll be posting clips, and also Gavin Kelly as well.
Shout out, bro. Appreciate
so much,
you.
man.
We'll put all these links in the
Appreciate it, bro.
description.
Appreciate it. Yeah, and get the album.
100%.
Get the album, man. You know what I'm saying?
Peace.